Hey everybody, welcome to Mammoth Interactive's YouTube channel. First of all, I want to thank you for watching this video. And remember that this channel doesn't do Patreon. Instead, we sell our digital courses down below. And every single dollar that we get from the products you buy below goes into making more content. The best way to help out this channel and Mammoth Interactive is to subscribe to Mammoth Interactive's huge library of content. Get thousands of hours and hundreds of courses for a low price down below. We have a monthly option and a yearly option. Thanks for listening, and I'll see you in the video.
Welcome to your first steps in creating video game pixel art. This course is designed from the very basics of pixel art to help you get started with creating graphics for your own games and projects. We'll go through all of the tools you'll need, what they do, and how they work. You will learn when to use them and how to find different methods and shortcuts to make your work faster and easier. With these tools, we can create artwork that's organized in a way that we can use for video game characters, backgrounds, items, and UI. My name is Kristen, and I'm a graphic designer and illustrator. I've been working in design for over 10 years. I focus in vector, raster, and pixel art, doing characters design and branding. I've worked in visual effects as well as printing industries, and now I'm focused on digital artwork. Alongside that, I'm a gaming community manager and a live streamer. Why should you learn pixel art? It's a great way to create timeless graphics that age way better than 3D. Pixel art ages beautifully with the technology that we have today, you can make it as detailed or as simplified as you like. Not to mention with how many pixel art styles and techniques that are out there, it can be one of the most beautiful art pieces to create. Today we're going to be using a free pixel art program called Piskel. It's a browser-based program and a great way to see if you enjoy the creation of pixel art before investing in another pixel art program. We'll be creating a variety of projects, but we have an example on the screen as a small snippet of what you'll be able to create today. To get started with this course, you're going to need the Piskel app on your browser or another pixel art program. Make sure that your pixel art program has animation capabilities and allows you to create different frames. This course is designed for beginners, but it's a good review if you have experience in pixel art as well. So let's boot up our browser and get started. So to start our very first pixel art project, we're going to go to a website called piskelapp.com. This is a free online editor, and it's a really great place to start if you've never delved into pixel art again. They have a lot of great features. We'll go into Create Sprite, and this will load your sprite sheet. By default, they've already created a artboard for you. You can resize this and right on this side over here in the drawing area, but I think 32 by 32 is a perfectly reasonable place to start. So to go over some of the things in this program, you have a viewfinder up here, which will show you what you're doing as you're creating it. You have your frames on the left-hand side. Think of it like a flip note page, where each one is a different post-it that you can flip through when animating. These are not layers, these are individual frames, and we'll get into this bit a bit later. From here we have the pen tool, very similar to any other pen tool in any other program where you can draw with it. But you can create your sizes to be larger and from 1 to 4, 1 to 2, 1 to 8, etc. The mirror pen tool is a really incredibly helpful tool. This tool will take your pixel and duplicate it on the other side in order to create symmetry. So it's a really great tool if you needed to create something that was symmetrical, and it's really easy to follow along with. The paint bucket tool is a fill-in tool, so if you had a closed area, you can fill it in. Paint pixels of all the same colors tool is incredibly helpful. So let's say I had some red for a heart here. We would fill it in with our paint bucket tool. And I had a pixel over here. I can go into the paint all pixels of the same color. And we will change it to blue. And if I just color this whole pixel down here, it'll fill any of the colors in here that match that, which is really helpful. Speaking of colors, you can add any of the colors you use to a color palette, and you can create your own color palette by adding different colors here that you want to be using. From there, if you wanted to save your color palette, you can name it whatever you'd like. So we'll call this watermelon. But you can also import existing images to get a color palette. For now, we'll hit save, and now we have our watermelon palette saved if we wanted to use it. Moving along, we can go to our eraser tool, which does exactly as it sounds. You can erase individual parts. You can also increase your eraser size just as you can with your pen tool to erase larger areas. The stroke tool is for creating straight lines. So as you click and drag, you can see that it's creating this nice lag for you. If you hold shift, it will also snap it into very specific angles, which is incredibly helpful. The rectangle tool, you click and drag and it will create a rectangle for you. This is nice for large areas. Let's say you were creating a building or a placard in the background of something. It's just nice to be able to fill it in and color it from there while keeping it nice and even. Same thing with the circle tool. You can create here. And for wherever you pick from the center, it's going to go from the side. So make sure if you wanted it to be from a corner, you're dragging it from the corner itself. The move tool is pretty much what it sounds like. You can click and drag your layer. This will take anything on this particular layer and drag it around. If I had an additional layer and I drew something with our pink, gave herself a little watermelon for this frame we have. If I try to grab the watermelon, I have to be on the watermelon layer. And this is why it's always good to label your layers like that. And you know right away which layer you're on because it'll fade out the other layers, which is really, really helpful. So you can see our animation up here because we have 2 frames and one of them is showing and one of them is not. This one is empty, so that's why it's blinking up here. You can slow down the frames per second. So when you duplicate the frame, if you were to change the layer in any way, let's say we added another circle in the middle, this will not affect the layer originally there. And when you look at the little animation, it should show you a blinking circle on that watermelon. From there we have the shape selection tool. So you can actually grab individual pieces of different shapes you've created, and as long as they're touching with a full side, it will grab onto it. So notice that these don't grab on because there's only a corner. It will grab anything that has a whole side touching. If we go into the watermelon, it will grab all of that color. This is really helpful if you made a mistake and you want to delete anything of that color. You can just go in and delete it by hitting backspace, and now it's completely gone. Next we have the rectangle selection tool. You can click and drag and it will grab anything under here. From this, it's really helpful. You can actually either move it around or drag it to make sure it's in the right spot. You can control X and cut things and actually move them to other frames if you wanted to. This is really helpful between different frames or different layers if you wanted to move an object from one to the other. The lasso tool does the same thing where you can grab it and cut out an individual piece. So if you just wanted to move one specific spot from one to the other, that's another great way to do that. Lighten mode is a mode where at 1 pixel at a time you can adjust the lighting on it. Depending on how many times you click on that individual pixel, it'll continue lighting it. This is good for shading if you wanted to do some shading in your artwork, but it can definitely go a little overboard and it'll give you a lot of different colors to work with. So if you try starting to select individual colors, they're going to be way different than the ones you're used to grabbing originally. So just keep that in mind. Sometimes with pixel art, the simpler the better, but you can add some really cool textures by doing stuff like this. The dithering tool is a tool that will slowly smudge whatever color is around. So it's because I selected the green, it'll smudge the green into it. Notice that some of the pixels do disappear. There's very specific times to use a tool like this. Unfortunately, for small artwork, this is not quite the time to do it. Maybe if you had a big tree and you wanted to dither the leaves, that would be a really good choice. And the last thing we want to do is check out our color picker tool. You can click on that and it will grab whatever color that you pick. From there, you can double click on this and see what color it is. And if you wanted to copy that color, you can go into our Manage Palette and you can paste it in, just like that. And then you can always add the new color if you wanted to. Moving on to this side, again, the frames per second. This changes how fast your animation is. This is really helpful for when you're trying to save it out and you're not sure what speed you want it to be. You can change the size of the preview by clicking on here. So let's give ourselves a small little heart to draw real quick. We'll use our vertical tool and pick our watermelon color. And we'll just give ourselves a small little heart to work with. Just like that. So obviously this heart is incredibly small, and if we wanted to zoom it in, we can go 6 or full, and it will make it much easier to see. You can toggle a grid on and off. This is very helpful if you want to see your pixels on your design. So if you like having a clean visual, or if you want to make sure that everything is lined up, I'm probably going to be using the toggle grid for a majority of the time unless I'm previewing, but it's completely up to you how you wanted to do this. You can open the preview in a pop-up by clicking on this, and it'll just bring it into a new window for you. Down here you can have different layers. These are really helpful for when you want to add hairstyles or hats, but you want to keep it separate from your base character. Typically, I like to create a base character and then add all of the features on top of it, and that's a really great way to make your pixel art interchangeable with outfits or hairstyles, etc. The transform tool is for flipping vertically, so let's say we had an extra little heart over here, but I decided I wanted the heart to be on this side. You can just flip vertically and it will flip your entire frame the other way. This is also helpful to see how it will look like when your character is running the opposite way if you have a running cycle. Rotate clockwise, pretty apparent what it does. Clone layer to all frames. So if I had multiple frames, what this would do was I would click on this layer and I can add it to every single frame. So once you create your base shape for your character, if you wanted to get that base shape onto every frame, you just clone that layer, and then from there you can readjust it by using your move tool and grabbing it wherever you need it to go. And align image to center. This is really helpful for starting out. Later on you probably won't want to be using that because it'll start moving your layers all over the place. So really just for getting started, this is a great way to center it and make sure it's even, and then after that you probably won't be touching this again. Last but not least, we have some preferences. So if you wanted the tile mode, I personally enjoy the brighter tiles. I find them a little bit easier, or the darker tiles with the low contrast because it's easier on the eyes. For the sake of learning, we'll stay on the high contrast because it's easier to see. The layer opacity you can kind of turn up and down through here. Maximum frames per second you can change to 30 if you wanted to. I think 24 is plenty. We would probably even go lower than that, but we'll leave it at 24 for now. And the color format is either hexadecimal or RGB. Hexadecimal is very standard across the board, and it's really easy to find a hex code for your color palette, so we're going to stick with hex. You can resize the drawing area like we did originally. You can turn off the maintain aspect ratio if you wanted to only expand one size. You can choose where you want your expansion to become from, so if I wanted to add more room on here, I would click this bottom right one. And then the default size is 32 by 32, which I will leave, but if you were working on a project that would have a lot of files, you can change a new default. Through the save button, you can save locally and change the title. You can save it as a Piskel file, which is great because then you can just upload it to this site again. Or you can save it locally onto your file. Export does exactly what it sounds like. To export your file, if you wanted it to be a loop, you'll have to save it as a GIF. If you just wanted the pixel art to be by itself, a PNG will work just fine. If you save out a PNG, you will save out all of your frames individually. And so if you wanted to make it a little bit more organized and not have 30-something files, perhaps, you can go into the zip and it'll put all of the PNGs into its own frame in one folder. And you can also export a C file, which we will not be using, but it is an option there. Import. You can import an existing image. So if you have some pixel art you've saved before, whether it's a PNG or a GIF, if you have your old Piskel files, you can load up anything that you want in here as well. And if you're ever wondering how to do some shortcuts, they have a really handy tool at the bottom left here called the keyboard shortcuts, and it will give you all of the shortcuts for every single thing that you can do. I find this really helpful, and I'm really glad that they added this in here. So if you ever get stuck on how to use a specific tool and you wanted to learn some shortcuts, they're all at the bottom here for you. And with that, I think we are ready to create some pixel art. We're going to get started on our pixel art character. So one thing I want to do before we get started is to go into our preferences and go to resize, and we're going to give ourselves a little bit more room by giving ourselves 48 pixels by 48 pixels. This can be changed. We're going to try different ones later, but for now, I think this is a really good size to start with. Just make sure you hit resize, and that should give us more room. So to start, we're going to go with an outline, and we're just going to create an outline of our character really quickly and easily. So what we're going to do is put on our mirror pen tool, and now when we start drawing our pixels, it'll go on both sides of the character. So to start, we'll go with 1, 2, 3 pixels going outward, and then 1, 2, 3 going diagonally down, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then 1, 2, 3, and 1, 2, 3. That'll be the head shape of our character. We're going to add the shoulders next, and we're going to go down and create a collar for them as well. So for the collar, we'll go down 1 diagonally and touch this. From this part, we want to go to this pixel here and over by 1, 2, and we'll go down a total of 5 pixels. So we already did 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Those will be the shoulders for the body parts. And on the inside, we'll go down to match and extend past 2. Over here, we'll go across 2, go from the second one down, and then in right there. So we're going to go down 3 here, in by 2, back up to 1, and we're going to cut across 2 more. And so this part of the shirt is actually going to be a vest, and we're going to go down and back up right here. So that's their little vest that they're going to be having on. From the edge of the hand, we can go down 1 and over. And so she'll be wearing a skirt, so we'll go into and then connect at the bottom here. You can kind of see the form that our character is starting to take shape with. So we have the head, the arms, the body, and the skirt. So from the edge of the skirt, we'll go down 2 more, and then in and down 1, and just cut across and bring this up. From there, we'll add an outside piece on this outside of this edge. We'll go down 2, so there's 2 pixels, in by 1, down by 2, and over by 1. And feel free to zoom in as you need to. And then to finish up the boots, we'll go down, in and down 1, 2, 3, up 2, and up another 2, and just cut all the way up. And there we will have the base of our character. We're not going to keep all of the dark outlines. We're actually going to be coloring these, but for now this is a really good start to create our character as a base. So next up, we're going to add some features like the face and the hair, and we are just going to be able to have a lot of fun with this and design it kind of however we like. So for the face, I think what I would want is the mouth to be kind of lower on the head, probably about in line with here. And then to make the eyes, we can go probably about right up 1 pixel away. 2, 1, 2, 3. We'll switch to green, and we'll make the eyes be green. From here, we can add another color. We can actually just go right into here and change it to white and color in the outside of the eyes. If we wanted a more cutesy look for our eyes, we can actually add a little bit of extra color here on the inside, but you'll have to make sure that your reflection tool is off in order to make it match across. So we can grab this, we can use our color picker tool by hitting O. We will just go back to our pen tool and go 1, 2, 3. So you can really change the eyes however you like, and I think for now this is perfectly fine. We're going to take this skin tone color, it can be whatever tone you want, and we're just going to fill in the head shape with this color. And we'll go ahead and fill in the arms and the bottom part of the legs as well. From there, we're going to take orange and we're going to start creating the hair color by just giving her some bangs. So we're going to give her like a little bit of a side swooping bangs here. And one trick when you're trying to make curves in pixel art is you never want to have a jagged edges like this. Typically what you would want to do is always create a nice soft layer, and if you wanted it to be more rounded, you have to create a symmetrical pattern. So if we have 2, 1, 1, you'd want to go 2 before you start adding more. So it should always be symmetrical if you want a nice round curve. If you had 1, 2, 1, and then went all the way down, it would look a lot sharper. So just make sure that you are keeping your round shapes even, and you'll find that your curves will look a lot nicer. So we're going to start from up here and go down 2, over, over, over 2. Actually, we'll go over 3 and back up 1. And that'll be the start of her hair. We'll create an extra couple of bangs over here. So we'll go up like this. And up 2, oh, we'll go actually diagonally and then over across. And then for this side, we'll go from this corner and we'll actually swoop it a lot further down and curve it in right here, down, up, up. Go straight up and then kind of follow the line of the hair we already have. Your hair is never flattened against your skull, so you really want to give your character a lot of space to have their hair sticking up from. We can actually make this a little bit taller and a little bit more stylized that way. Now from this side, we're going to bring this one down, kind of like we did with the other one. And we'll actually create a little green space right here. And then go back out to give it a look like she has a little ponytail on. If you ever wanted it to look like there's a little stray hair at the end, you can always have an extra piece sticking off. Then from here we'll go up and condense it over here. And we'll just erase this little piece. So we're going to pick a bit of a lighter color orange. And if we wanted to, we can actually add this orange through here. And we'll give it probably, to kind of be in line with this one, maybe darken it a little bit and bring it more toward the red and hit save. We're going to use this orange to fill in the hair color, so we're going to go back to our we can actually use our paint bucket tool, select this color, fill it in on all of the empty areas. We still have some of these outlines, and that's easy enough to do. We can go back to our pen tool by hitting P and just clicking away all the extra pieces. Notice how there's way too much clumping up here for that particular shape. We're just going to go and cut into that a little bit, because these are all going to be outlines like that. And I think because her head is showing a little bit more over here, we can actually use this pixel color right here and kind of close it off over more to give it a bit more of a fill color. So I'll select the lighter one and probably cut it like that. Take our darker one and put it right up against the eye here. So we want to have hair in the back of her head too, because her hair isn't only in the front. So what we're going to do is pick our orange color again. We're going to go into our color palette, add a new one, go to the red, and pick a nice dark reddish brown and hit save. This will be great because we can put it back here with our fill tool, and then that way you know that there's actually still hair back there as well. I think her bangs can come swooping down a little bit more, so we're going to go and grab this and fill in right up against her eyes here. Go back to our lighter color and cut in like that. And then for this side, I feel like we can also raise this part up a little bit by going here and down. So you can just kind of see where her hair is swooping over and you can make your adjustments however you like. But this is a really fun way to really get customizing your character. We're going to go and continue on. We're going to go down to the vest, and we are just going to fill it in with this purple color. And we're going to use our lighter purple to fill in the undershirt. She does have some sleeves that are missing, so we're going to use our pen tool, use the lighter shirt color, and just fill in right here. From there, we're going to take our blue, use the paint bucket tool, and fill in as well. I think a nice brown boot color would be nice, so we're going to go back into our edit and manage this palette, add a new color, and make that color a nice dark brown. Hit save, and then we can fill in those boots. Perfect. This is a really great start. She's definitely flat, and we're going to add a lot of different types of outlining, but it's looking really good so far. So you may have noticed that our hair actually has this lighter orange outline, and the rest of our outlines are black. So we are actually going to go in and change the color of the outlines inside the character. So let's go to our blue palette and pick a nice darker blue. And just where the skirt is, we are going to give ourselves a nice dark blue color here. What this is going to do is separate the skirt from the other parts of the body, and it'll distinguish which parts are actually skin tones and clothing pieces instead of it all kind of blending together with the black outlines. So now when we select our purple, we can go back into Manage, click on the purple, hit Add so we have that same color. We'll just pick a nice darker purple and hit Save. We're going to color in these pieces with that new color right here. And the sleeves, because they are still technically purple, using that purple tone, we will color these 2 pixels as well. We'll do the same with the bottom of the vest, all the way into where the hands are crossing. We'll go back into our palette color, pick the skin tone, hit Add, make it more vibrant and probably more pink. I'd say there, and hit Save. This is going to be our color we will use for any part of her body, right here, and here, and her arms as well. I find that this corner is a little harsh, so we're actually going to delete the points at the end of that hand piece. Select this, we'll go back and add our color. The only other thing I find a little off-putting is that her hands or arms feel like they're in front of the shirt when really they should be by her side. So instead of having our skin tone, we're going to make this the dark purple color we've used earlier. And then instead, bring in this color to be blue right here. Just like that. Next up, we're going to go back to our peach color and fill in the leg pieces here. And we'll go to the boots, pick a new color, make it much darker, and hit Save. Use our pen tool, select our dark brown, and just color the boots. Just like this. And you can easily turn on your mirror tool if you want it to go a little bit quicker, but I think for now this is fine. Great. So the next thing we want to do is take our black outline again, and in order to make this character stand out from the background, we're actually going to, it seems a little counterintuitive, but we're actually going to re-outline the complete outside of this character. And it's not going to be on the internal pieces, it'll only be on the outside. So basically go around pixel by pixel and just color in as if it's like a stroke around the character itself. Just like this. And what this is going to do is anytime you have your pixel character on a background, you'll be able to see it a lot more clearly, especially for this particular style. Almost there. And for some of the pieces, you probably can use your mirror tool, but since we have her hair kind of in this side ponytail, we're going to have a lot harder time being able to do that. So that's why we are clicking it individually. Almost there, and at the top. So you can tell from this little portrait in the corner that there really is a huge difference just by making that outline shape, and I feel like that is incredibly helpful. The only other thing that I decided I wanted to change is I'm actually going to use my rectangle selection tool, grab her face layer, just her eyes for now, and we are going to try to cut it out and paste it back in, but we're going to move it down right there. Her mouth looks a little silly right now, but that's okay. We're going to use our pen tool, pick the skin tone color, and just move these over here and add the mouth back down about here. I think I like this shape more because it kind of looks like she's gazing upward instead of being down. What we can do is actually give her a little bit of shading under her hair now because we have more room. So we're going to go to our skin tone and just go a tiny bit over. Even more so probably if we wanted a little bit more contrast. Just like this. And even though it's a pixel-based character, you get a little bit more depth that way. Just like so. I think she looks great so far, and we're going to go in and add a lot more details to make her a little less flat and a little bit more lively. Alright, now that we've gotten the basic colors and basic shape down, we get to add a lot more details into the character itself by adding some shading. I feel like in order to match this shadow with this is probably a little bit too pink. So we're going to use our color picker tool by hitting O, color pick that color, hit P for pen, and we are going to adjust this color to be much darker, probably around here and just barely closer to the red. Now when we color this, it should make it a little less pink and a little more brown, and that'll probably match the tones we have for her already. So we'll color this in, any of the parts where we had our pink, like so, and like so. So we're going to grab this kind of orangey tone, the shadow we had for our character by hitting O and color picking here, hit P, and anywhere where there would be some shadows like under these sleeves or under her skirt here, we're going to add a couple of pixels there just to color it. There was also a spot missing over here, so we're going to E and delete that. So we're going to go into our orange next for the hair, and we're going to color pick with O and brighten the color up. We're going to pick a nice bright shade over here. Go back to P, and probably along the edges here where the highlights would be, we're going to color over those outlines. And that's totally okay to do because the outlines are really going to act more as shadows from now on. We'll add a couple pixels going this way just to kind of give her hair a little bit of a shine. And probably on some edges like over here. And we can add it on this side as well. We do want to keep this darker inside bit because we want it to be separated from her face. If we put this lighter color here, it would blend in a little bit too much. So we want to use these darker outlines as contrasts. But we can add this brighter orange, probably in the middle here, just as a shine. And then on the inside of this part right here. Like so. I'm going to expand out her bangs a little bit more and color pick this so it's right up against the edge like we had earlier. So we'll use our brush tool or our pen tool and go like that. I feel like that feels a little bit more natural for her hair, and we can do the same over here as well. Use O to select the color, P to switch to the pen tool, and just color in these darker spots. With the lighter color, O to color pick this, P to bring out our pen, and we can actually hit O again to color pick the normal orange we've been using, P again, and just make it so that highlight is just on the edge there. I think that's looking really good. The only thing that's a little hard to tell is that this is a side ponytail, so we're actually going to use our green color and make our ponytail go diagonally so you can tell that her hair is swooping around to go to this point here. The other thing I think will be really helpful for this is to give ourselves a couple extra points to show that her hair is swaying a little more. So let's go to our color pick by hitting O, grab this, hit P, color that. We'll use our black outline and just go about here and bring it back up. And now it kind of looks like the hair is swooping a little bit. And we can kind of square off this side a little more and use our dark orange here. That looks much more like a side ponytail for sure. So next we want to add some shading on her vest. So we are going to go into our purple and go a little bit darker, not as dark as this. And we are going to add a little bit of shading on one side of this. We'll put some shading underneath where it's connected as well. And we are going to pick a nice yellow color. So let's go to like a brassy yellow. And we're going to add a spot for her buttons right here and right here. Next we'll go to our blue. So we'll select the blue color and we're going to pick a bit of a lighter shade. And in order for this to feel like it's kind of a pleated skirt, we're going to make the inside here. We'll start from here, go down two, and then we'll fill it in this way. Down two, over, down two, and fill it there. I think it's a little hard to tell, so we're going to flare out this side right here. And we can actually use some of these darker blue colors again to flare out the bottom. And then we'll definitely want to fill out up against where there would be a shadow cast to show the shadow there. So even if it looks a little bit flat, that's okay because it's still showing us where the vest is overshadowing the rest of the skirt. We can scroll down here and we're going to color pick with O, our boot color. We're going to pick a little bit of a lighter but still keep it in the brown. And we're going to color right from here over on both sides. So it's kind of cutting across and going down, but that'll show that the light is hitting the top of the boots here. And we can even go over by one and maybe even down. And this kind of gives the illusion that her foot is facing forward more. We'll pick this lighter brown and put it attached to here. And that way you can kind of see the illusion of which direction the color is going in. And then for this side, we'll add the lighter bit that we just used by hitting O for color picking and hitting P for pen and just put it on the edge here. This color is okay, but I think I want it to be a little bit more saturated, so we're going to move it over like here. And then from there, we'll use our Fill All Paint Pixels, the same color tool. And that way, when we color this, it'll change all of the colors to that particular color. And now we have a nice shaded character that has quite a bit of detail for only a small amount of space. And I think she looks ready to go on an adventure. Now that we have our pixel character, we are actually going to create a companion for them. And we are going to do that by basing it off of the character we've already created. So this is a really great way to keep consistency within your style of your character, as well as creating multiple different characters across your project. To start, we're going to, before we do anything, duplicate this layer by holding down Shift and clicking on this plus sign. What that does is it clones the layer and it will keep the character itself. So if we set this to 0, this character is still here. So that means we can change any of this. Let's say we erased across. If we were to hide this one by clicking on it and hitting 0, and setting this one to 1, you can see that this one is unaffected by this one. So we can turn this back off to 0, and we'll turn this one on to 1. Click on here, and hit 1, and now we have our character back in the viewfinder. There we go. The one thing you want to make sure is that you are actually using this, so let's name our layers in order to make sure that we do not mix them up. And this will be our new character here. So to get started, we're going to start erasing some of the features of this character while keeping the same shape of the original. So we'll go like this, cut across, and just remove anything that is very much in line with the features that she's keeping. There we go. So now what we can do is start to create the new facial features. So what we're going to do to start is we're actually going to change out the color of the skin tone and of the hair, and that way we can have a nice change right away without having to do very much work. So rather than changing all the colors individually, we're going to use this Paint All Pixels the Same Color tool. This is super helpful so we can pick our new skin tone, and anything we fill in that's this skin tone color will change. Same with the shadows, we can do the same. And then to make the outline, we'll pick a nice deep color and fill that in as well. And immediately you see this really nice change of colors, which is super great. If I wanted to save any new colors that I've created, I can copy this hexadecimal, go into my color palettes by Manage This Palette, add a new color, and change it to the new skin tone. So we'll be doing that frequently as we add new colors to our palette. Next, we're going to change the hair. So we're going to switch to this yellow color and fill in this. And now we want to add a new highlight, so we'll go to a brighter yellow. We're going to copy this for later, and we are going to fill in this yellow here. Now we can click Manage This Palette, add a new color, set it to our hexadecimal that we copied over, and hit Save. And then we also want to select this color again, and make a much darker color, maybe a little bit more toward the orange. And we will fill in all of these as well. Double click on this, copy the hexadecimal, go into our palette, and add this color as well. It's just good practice to get into, so that way anytime you need a color really quickly, instead of having to color pick it over and over again, you can just go over here and click on these. Next thing we want to do is change some of the features right away. So we'll go into our pen tool, select our skin tone, and just hide some of these eye pieces. We're going to go and hit O to color pick the black outline. We'll make sure we add this to our palette as well, which should just be 00000, which is the hexadecimal color for black. Hit Save, and now we have that color as well. So now we're going to use our pen tool by hitting P and just drawing straight across. We'll give them a little bit of a lazier look than our other character had. And we are also going to color pick or select our color here and give them a little ear. This is a great way to add little small features to your character while also keeping in line with the style of the other one. We'll go here and we'll make it about this size, I think. And we're actually going to change this hair to be covering this side, so we will do that first by picking our skin tone, and we're actually going to move the hairline up. So we'll want to make sure we're on the right color and just move this upward like that. We're going to change all of the hair parts and stuff afterward, but for now this will work really well. Let's color pick our darker yellow, or click it number 9 over here. And we're going to hit P for pen, and we're just going to draw his hair kind of coming down and swooping out like this. And so we'll start from up here, go 2 down, 1, 2, 3. We'll have to erase some of these so we can go into our yellow. Like here and here. His hair's a little bit long, so we're going to shorten just a bit. Like this. Now what we're going to do is use our erase tool and get rid of all the extra pieces we didn't want. So something like this. And just adjust the color how we want it to be. Maybe we'll have it curving in instead. Like so. Next, we're going to have it show that where his hair is coming from, so we're going to give him a little bit of a widow's peak by going like this and just readjusting these lines here. And we'll color in all the pieces we need to go around like that. This part of his hair is a little bit tall. We'll erase this, and we're going to shorten this side as well. Go back to this tool, and we'll color in from here down and then from here across. We're going to use our lighter yellow and just fill in some spots over here. Cross it down, over, 1, 1, 2, 3, just like that. Notice how this is a little bit clumpy over here, so we'll use our erase tool and just smooth that edge out a little bit. And in order to give it some texture, we're also going to add some ups and downs here to show where the hair is kind of coming in and out. And we'll bring it all the way past the ear. We can fill in some shadows, so we'll take our shadow color and we're going to put this underneath the hair layer to kind of show where the hair is casting a shadow, like that. I also think it'll benefit to give him some eyebrows, so we're going to take the gold color, but in order for it not to blend in too much with the hair itself, we're going to make it even darker than the actual hair outline. And we'll just put it 3 across right here to here. Great, so now that we have his hair and head all set, we can move on to the body part. So we're going to use our handy Paint All Pixels the Same Color tool again, and any of the purple, we'll use the blue that we have saved. From there, we're going to pick a darker blue and fill in the darker bits, but we'll want to make sure that we take the hexadecimal of this color blue, hit copy, and cut it out. And when we go to manage our palette, we can add a new color, that is the blue color, and hit save. From there, we want an even darker color to be the outlines, so we're going to copy this, cut it. We'll fill in our dark colors here, manage this palette, click a new one, and set the blue color. We want to actually change the shirt shape a lot because we don't want him wearing a vest. So what we're going to do is take our skin tone color right here, hit P, and we're going to put 2 just below where the mouth is. From there, we can take our dark blue outline color and fill it in, and take our lighter blue and also fill in this area. With the shadows, we can put the shadows back underneath, but we're going to actually get rid of the buttons and the vest, and we are going to push the shirt down more. Like this, and then for the outline, push it even further so it comes down like that. Next, we're going to give them some sleeves, so we're going to cut across here by going 1, 2, 3 across. And we are going to go 1, 2, 3, and 1 more up here, as well as cutting across there. We'll kind of reflect that on the other side, so we can actually choose our mirror tool since this is the same, and we can just click on the points we already placed down because we know we want them there. Now we're going to put in between those two the nice lighter colors, and then we'll fill in these colors with the light ones as well. That gives the illusion that he has some sleeves here and they're kind of rolled up. We're going to take our shadow color and we're actually going to create some stripes across. We're going to stop using our vertical mirror pen tool and use our regular pen and just make some lines down like this. Like so. We're going to add some here and here, and then we'll go diagonally down like this. From there, we can add some going straight across here, here, and here. But we'll want to make sure that this has that lighter color in it right there. In order to make this feel a little bit more like a plaid shirt, we're going to pick a color somewhere in between these two, maybe a little bit darker, but not as dark as our outline. So right about here. We'll copy this color, go into our palette, add a new color, and paste the new color in. Hit save. And everywhere there's a cross stitch, we're going to put that dark color down. Just like that. And we can do the same on the insides here, like that. We'll even add some at the bottom there. Now he's definitely wearing a nice plaid shirt, but we want to remove the skirt and give him some pants. So we're going to use this red color we have, and we are going to fill in where the pants would be, right about here, and here. We're going to definitely need more shades of red for these pants. So we are going to double click, make a darker color for the outlines, copy it, manage this palette, create a new color, paste in our code, and hit save. Now we can use this color to fill in the outlines of where the pants originally were, and we're actually going to push down into the boots because he's going to be wearing sneakers instead. We can add them going down this side and this side as well. And we'll add a little line here and here and just fill out this to show where the pants line is. We're going to also bring these colors down to match where the other ones are. And we can use our erase tool to get rid of the flare of the skirt out here. We're going to fill in a couple of points right here to show where the pockets would be. So we'll go cover that in and fill it out like that. We'll make the pants have a little bit of a flared out bottom, kind of boot cut style, and cut it in while removing these pieces here. We'll use our lighter red color to fill in those spots here, right there and there. To make sure our blue is hidden, we're going to fix these outlines and add a couple more outline points. And then we'll outline the pants as well. Like that. And I think we should have some highlights on where the kneecaps would be, so we're going to double click and just brighten it a little bit. And we'll add some spots like that. Next up, we want to change the shoes, so I think having a nice pair of gray shoes will work well for him. So we're going to go in here and add a new color. And we'll pick a nice grayish, we'll be in the nice blue section of grays. And we'll hit save. We'll use our tool where you can paint all pixels the same color and make sure we select our new gray. And from there, we can start adjusting the colors to be darker for the shadows. Double click and save our shade. Manage this palette, add a new color, hit paste, save. We'll color pick the lighter shade and make it even lighter. Save this color, replace the color with here, and we'll go in and add this color as well. His boots look a little bit too serious and they look a little metal, so what we're going to do is actually change the front of this to be filled in that lighter color. So it's kind of like a pair of Converse. So we'll fill in this and this as well. And what we're going to do is go in and change the edging to be that darker gray we had. So we'll cut across and go down, and then at the very bottom we'll put that dark gray again. Now we can add a couple of little spots on the shoe to kind of show that there's some shoelaces. So we'll just fill that in with blue on here. Now that we have the shoes all set, the pants, and the shirt, all that's left to do is to outline the rest of our character in that black stroke. So we'll just go around and color it around just like we did with the original one. And it makes such a huge difference just adding this as a little detail, because once it's up against a background, you'll be able to notice a huge difference with your character. And one other thing that we need to do besides the outline is to fix the hair, because the hair has some leftover shine from our previous character. So we're just going to want to go and kind of create our own shine for their hair. I feel like they'd have a little bit of color here and just up against the bangs right here as well. And we'll kind of swoop this one down like that. And maybe add a couple more highlights at the top here. Like so. But I think that's just about it for this character. I think he's looking pretty snazzy in his shirt and his cool sneakers, and we are ready to move on to our next character we create. So creating these characters has definitely been helpful, but I think it would be easier to create an outlined base character that we can use and not have to worry about erasing all of the features every time. So we're actually going to duplicate this layer again by holding down Shift and clicking on the plus. We're going to rename this as base. And we're actually going to use this character as our outline, but we're going to start by erasing all of the extra features. So we'll go into here and we'll want to make sure that our other one is turned off. So we'll have to set this to 0. That way anything we do, we can actually see the changes that it makes underneath. In order to make it a little easier on ourselves, I want to keep this ear here. And so I am going to use my mirror tool. To color pick the black outline and click. And when we go back to our mirror tool, we can just click on all of these little black outlines here to kind of show where the rest of this head is going to be. We use E to erase all these points. And we're going to want to make sure it's even, so we'll go on the outside of these and the outside of these, just like this, to remove these points. We're going to use this base color as kind of the base of the entire face and just color in all of this stuff so we don't have to see any of it. If you wanted to make it really easy on yourself, you can just pick the paint all pixels the same color and just pick everything in this area as that. We can color pick or use that dark color we already have and make sure we mimic it on the other side so it matches. And then we'll just use this here to start to give an idea of where the eyes will be. We're going to remove the sleeve, so we're going to go back to the eraser tool and remove these edges. And we'll even remove the flare at the bottom of the pants as well. We'll click our pen tool again and just connect them so they're nice and flat. And connect these edges here. To make it a little easier on ourselves, we're going to just fill in this whole area with gray. Just like this. And any of the inside pieces as well. We're not going to color the dark edges gray just yet, because we may want to save some of those for a different shade to make it easier on ourselves later. Alright, just to make sure that we are using the right size arms, we're going to cut into here a little bit more and then erase some of our other pieces over here. Just like that. We'll use this color and use our fill tool and just fill it in to match. And we will fill in these colors as well. We can use our pen tool to erase these and make them match the hands. We'll give our character some shorts to kind of show where this part will be. Like that. And we'll just go right across here. As for the inside, we can just fill in these with a standard gray color that we already have. And we'll fill in this blue with this gray instead. We'll actually bring this in a little bit in case we wanted a character that had shorts and move these here. Use our erase tool and erase these lines as well. We'll go back with our skin tone, fill in the dark color with our pen tool. Just like that. And we'll actually use this all the way down for the base of the feet. We'll use our lighter color, use our paint bucket tool, and fill in all of the extra colors here. And we'll want to make sure that they're all matching across. And now we have a really simple character to have a base for, and anytime you need to adjust or add new characters and new features, you can just base it off of this and you have a nice outline to start with. So creating these characters has definitely been helpful, but I think it would be easier to create an outlined base character that we can use and not have to worry about erasing all of the features every time. So we're actually going to duplicate this layer again by holding down Shift and clicking on the plus. We're going to rename this as base. And we're actually going to use this character as our outline, but we're going to start by erasing all of the extra features. So we'll go into here and we'll want to make sure that our other one is turned off. So we'll have to set this to 0. That way anything we do, we can actually see the changes that it makes underneath. In order to make it a little easier on ourselves, I want to keep this ear here. And so I am going to use my mirror tool. To color pick the black outline and click. And when we go back to our mirror tool, we can just click on all of these little black outlines here to kind of show where the rest of this head is going to be. We use E to erase all these points. And we're going to want to make sure it's even, so we'll go on the outside of these and the outside of these, just like this, to remove these points. We're going to use this base color as kind of the base of the entire face and just color in all of this stuff so we don't have to see any of it. If you wanted to make it really easy on yourself, you can just pick the paint all pixels the same color and just pick everything in this area as that. We can color pick or use that dark color we already have and make sure we mimic it on the other side so it matches. And then we'll just use this here to start to give an idea of where the eyes will be. We're going to remove the sleeve, so we're going to go back to the eraser tool and remove these edges. And we'll even remove the flare on the bottom of the pants as well. We'll click our pen tool again and just connect them so they're nice and flat. And connect these edges here. To make it a little easier on ourselves, we're going to just fill in this whole area with gray. Just like this. And any of the inside pieces as well. We're not going to color the dark edges gray just yet, because we may want to save some of those for a different shade to make it easier on ourselves later. Alright, just to make sure that we are using the right size arms, we're going to cut into here a little bit more and then erase some of our other pieces over here. Just like that. We'll use this color and use our fill tool and just fill it in to match. And we will fill in these colors as well. We can use our pen tool to erase these and make them match the hands. We'll give our character some shorts to kind of show where this part will be. Like that. And we'll just go right across here. As for the inside, we can just fill in these with a standard gray color that we already have. And we'll fill in this blue with this gray instead. We'll actually bring this in a little bit in case we wanted a character that had shorts and move these here. Use our erase tool and erase these lines as well. We'll go back with our skin tone, fill in the dark color with our pen tool. Just like that. And we'll actually use this all the way down for the base of the feet. We'll use our lighter color, use our paint bucket tool, and fill in all of the extra colors here. And we'll want to make sure that they're all matching across. And now we have a really simple character to have a base for, and anytime you need to adjust or add new characters and new features, you can just base it off of this and you have a nice outline to start with.
Hey everyone, thanks for watching this course. If you want to watch the rest of the course, the link is down below. Not only will you get the access to this course, but you'll get access to a lot of other courses in a huge bundle, and it's on sale today. So buy it before the sale ends. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in another video.